All the political turmoil over the Michael Wolff book is overshadowing fast-approaching deadlines facing this White House. Tough issues ranging from health care to the budget and, of course, immigration. The president met with Republican lawmakers yesterday, including Senator James Lankford, to talk about immigration and other issues. And the Republican senator from Oklahoma joins me now. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for being with us. Well, I wanted to talk to you about immigration, but first, how does anything get done in a White House that is described as consumed with reacting to this book?
Honestly, I was in the White House for an hour and a half yesterday. The only comment that came out about the book entirely was a press person that made a question to the president during the pool time. Otherwise, it just didn't come up. So if it's consumed on it, I didn't see it yesterday.
That is fascinating, and you were right there at the table, as you know, as we were talking about immigration. Did the president seem focused? Was he on top of the issues? These questions have been raised. Sarah Sanders has had to address them at the briefing yesterday.
No, he was certainly focused on it. We had an hour and a half meeting walking through a lot of intricacies of policy, dealing with immigration. The focus was how do we actually get to a conclusion on this and be able to resolve it. He wants to see a resolution by the first week of March. His frustration was there's still all this conversation on these different issues. We've got to actually get to a final resolution that's a bipartisan solution. And he has been very focused on trying to get to a bipartisan solution. We know we've got to do that in the Senate. So that actually was a lot of the conversation. It is interesting to me on the book, just itself. I haven't read it, obviously. I've just seen all the churn on it. This same thing happened during the Obama administration. Bob Woodward came out and said he interviewed all these Democrats that hated working with President Obama and had all these stinging reports. There were lots of conservatives that wrote books on President Obama. So this is not unusual, I wouldn't think, for a White House. Liberals are going to be more frustrated with what they are. Conservatives more frustrated with President Obama. Books are going to come. This is just the modern reality that presidents are going to have to face.
No, the comparison would be, though, that there are insiders quoted on the record who are White House staff members talking about him in such disparaging ways. That said, this is in some ways a good thing in that Mitch McConnell and the caucus might be relieved that Steve Bannon has been ostracized, that he is losing his funding, and there may not be as many primary challengers to incumbents. Does 2018 look a little easier for the Republican incumbents?
Well, we'll see what that looks like in a few months. We'll let the politics of it work out. The policy is the key issue, and that's really what people elect us to be able to do, is to be able to get the things done that need to be done.
Speaking of getting things done, let's talk about immigration, because you've got the president demanding that there be a wall as part of this, border security. You've and others have spoken about a virtual wall instead of a brick and mortar wall in all cases. Are there compromises with Democrats involving the Dreamers, chain migration, and other things that are so important to the president and to Democrats? Isn't there something that could be worked out?
I absolutely think there's something to be worked out. The last several months, most of our meetings have been about DACA and trying to resolve this. Tom Tillis and I put out what's called the Succeed Act. Dick Durbin has had the DREAM Act out that's been out for 15 years. There are some ways to be able to combine those two to be able to make it work. Been a lot of conversations, but the problem's been the rest of it. Border security and national security hasn't been a partisan issue in the past. President Obama, when he was Senator Obama, voted for the Secure Fence Act that put up 650 miles of fence. That was one of the things that Chuck Schumer voted for as well in 2006. So the 650 miles of border wall that already exists on the southern border were a result of that vote. That was a wide bipartisan vote. This has become a more partisan issue because obviously the president talks about it more. But I don't think it should be a partisan issue. All of us should want to have national security to be able to know who's coming in, who's going out, and to be able to help monitor that. There are some individuals that are crossing our border that really do mean to do us harm. We should know who they are, but the vast majority of those folks that are coming to be able to work and want to be a productive person in this society. So we need to figure out who's coming in to be productive and who's coming in to do us harm. That shouldn't be a divisive issue.
And let me ask you about the timeline on this, because we have a bipartisan letter from former Homeland Security secretaries, including Chertoff, Napolitano, and Jay Johnson, most recently, saying that March is not really the deadline that many, including the White House and Democrats, have thought. That, in fact, to protect the Dreamers, you've got to do something by January because there's so much processing that has to be done. Do you think that that is realistic, to get something done on the Dreamers piece of it by January?
I would hope when we do the Dreamers piece, we're going to have to do all of it together. And when we talk about all of it, we're not talking about a big comprehensive bill like was tried by the Gang of Eight several years ago. It's trying to reduce the scope to the minimum amount that we have to do that are connected to the Dreamer issue. Again, we can go back to 2012, and when President Obama created the DACA program, we immediately saw in 2013 and 14 an unprecedented number of people that were young adults coming into the United States that President Obama over and over again said would not have access to this program, that they were being told by coyotes that were trying to be able to move them into the country illegally that they would, but President Obama was clear they would not. So whatever we do on the DREAM Act, or whatever we do for those DACA, we also need to deal with some border security and to be able to help send messages to Central America as well that, hey, this is not just a welcome to everyone to be able to come, it's for a select group. And so we need to be able to help process that. That smaller part can be done, I would think, before we get to the March deadline. If we need to be able to extend some access between now and then to help protect those individuals, that's good. But the people that are exposed right now are people that literally didn't sign up again and didn't renew in time again for DACA. Those that are in the DACA that did their renewal, they are still in protected status and will stay that way.
Senator Lankford, thanks so much. Thanks for being with us. I know you've got to go, but we appreciate your taking time.